This Chinese village perched at an altitude of 800 meters on steep cliffs. Living here is not suitable for those who are afraid of heights, and even less to the weak. We will also see in the video Courtyard, a village perched at 5,100 meters above sea level, located above the clouds. A village located in the crater of a volcano. A village as cold as Antarctica or staying outside a few minutes can cause death. And we start with Mawsimram. This village is perched about 1,400 meters in the Khasi Hills in northeast India. It is often quoted as the rainy place in the world. It receives an average of 11,800 millimeters of rain per year, or 250 days of rain. To compare, New York has only 1,260 millimeter annual. It's like New York received 9 years of rain in a single year. The landscape, punctuated by spectacular waterfalls and mysterious caves, is of striking beauty. The rain is so intense that the sound of drops on the sheet metal rooftops sometimes prevents residents from being talked about. To adapt, the villagers invented ingenious drying techniques under the metal sheets, using the heat accumulated by metal because the sun is rare. Before the monsoon, they store essential food and supplies because going out quickly becomes an almost impossible challenge. Canada, perched at 5,100 meters above sea level, is the highest inhabited village in the world, located above the clouds. This village is rich in gold, which makes gold panning the main activity of its inhabitants. The air is extremely rarely, their bodies producing up to twice as many blood cells as ours. Many suffer from altitude and must adapt to an environment poor in oxygen. The inhabitants consume coca leaves, illegal in most countries, which are a kind of anesthetic to fight against the disease linked to altitude. Rinconada is sometimes nicknamed the city without law, due to violence, murders, and the sexual exploitation that rages there. Between 100 and 300 illegal bars, often forced prostitutes, operate in the city. The Rinconada is overcrowded, with inhabitants living in huts piled up on slippery hills, forming a vertical labyrinth. Fascinating facts is the inhabitants work 28 to 30 juay without salary. It is the last day that they can take with them all the gold they are able to extract. Before the village in the crater of a volcano, and know how people live in this Chinese village 800 meters high, we have the magnificent Gasadalur. It is in the North Atlantic. It is a place that combines a very beautiful overflowing nature with stories wrapped in brumas. The first inhabitants arrived on these lands at the time of the Vikings, seeking refuge and new territories to cultivate. In this place, they were particularly protected because the adequate relief of Gasadalur, surrounded by high mountains and dizzying cliffs, made the village practically isolated for centuries, which in turn made it possible to protect its inhabitants and to keep a quiet lifestyle. These first villagers, descendants of the Vikings and Celts, lived from fishing and agriculture. With the passage of time, the isolation which once protected Gasadalur began to threaten its existence. Until 2004, Gasadalur remained the only village of the Faroes inaccessible by road. You only went there on foot, by boat, or by helicopter. But after 2004, modernity finally reached this place when a tunnel connected the locals outside, changing their lives forever. Despite the tunnel, the population was often down from around 16 people in 2002 to only 11 in 2020. The inhabitants built a staircase in this place that descends to the sea. Consequently, today, visitors are attracted by their breathtaking beauty to enjoy their picturesque tiny houses in the greens, while enjoying the soothing sound of the waterfall, Mulafosur, which falls directly to the ocean from the cliffs. Aogashima is an island located in the crater of a volcano and contains a secondary volcano in the center. It's extremely rare in the world. The inhabitants live on an active volcano with a constant risk of eruption, but they adapted to it with emergency shelters and evacuation plans. The inhabitants use volcanic heat to bathe in natural onsen, sometimes directly in the ground, and even to cook certain foods. The inhabitants cook certain traditional dishes with volcanic steam, a method that is found practically nowhere else. The island houses a tunnel, or vehicles can move from one point to another. Less than 200 inhabitants live on the island, and they all know each other. Solidarity is essential to survive in this extreme isolation. Everything that is not produced locally must be transported by boat or helicopter. so the inhabitants consume especially what they cultivate or fish themselves. Internet and telephone exist, but are sometimes unstable because of relief and weather conditions. Residents must sometimes wait several days to get certain information. The houses are built on steep slopes and have materials resistant to ashes and earthquakes. Children must sometimes go to live temporarily on the continent to go to secondary school because the island does not have all educational infrastructure. The inhabitants consider the volcano as a blessing as much as a danger because it provides hot water, fertile soils, and attracts a little tourism. Village of Atuli. Here is the village of Atuli, which is the Chinese village perched at an altitude of 800 meters on steep cliffs. Living here is not suitable for those who are afraid of heights, and even less to the weak. Well, going down and going up the stairs is a real challenge, and not only because of the intense physical effort to do, but also psychological. Because looking down and facing the Uatu vacuum is not something that suits everyone, even more when you know that these quarrels have cost several people. Children also have to take this perilous path to go to school. Strict rules prohibit young people under the age of 16 from going down alone. The inhabitants used wooden staircases attached to the cliffs to descend and go up the village. Some were so narrow and stiff that even adults had to hang on the strings so as not to fall. Recently, steel stairs have replaced the wooden old people, reducing the risks. But now the climb and descent remain physically demanding. Housing is built on very narrow terraces, creating a unique vertical labyrinth. Another fascinating anecdote. The villagers sometimes carry 50 kigdri rice bags or building materials on their backs, hanging on the strings, like a kind of human vertical zip line. Women often give birth in houses perched at the top of the cliffs. The rarefied air and the high position make delivery more difficult, but local midwives have developed specific techniques adapted to the height. Go up and down the stairs is considered the main physical exercise. Some residents have a cardio and incredibly powerful legs for their age. Meetings between neighbors are often done by hoisting from one house to the other by suspended walkways, which gives social life a unique acrobatic side. In a medical emergency, the inhabitants must descend or go up the winded by attaching them to strings on the dizzying stairs because it is impossible to pass a vehicle. The village offers spectacular views of the mountains and surrounding valleys, often wrapped in mist. Shimla, India. Shimla is a high place perched at 200 meters above sea level. As space is extremely limited at altitude, some families still celebrate their weddings directly on the flat roofs of their houses, which serve as an improvised festive room. During the winter, the steep streets of Shimla turn into real ice cream slides. The inhabitants, and especially the children, use them as improvised toboggans. Sometimes even the police slide in uniform to descend faster. The last queen of Nepal, Queen Ratna, lived a time in Shimla in exile, which gave even more prestige to the city. This place is filled with monkeys. The monkeys are so numerous in Shimla that there are veterinary clinics and dispensaries specially for them. In 1864, the British moved the whole administration of Calcutta, India in Shimla each summer. Shimla was nicknamed Little England. There were English clubs, Shakespearean theatre, horse races, and even a natural ice rink still active today. The city hosted the conference, which marked a crucial stage towards the independence of India. Yakutsk, Yakutsk in Russia, is often designated as one of the coldest cities on the planet, 44 Celsius degree, colder than Antarctica, which is 20 degrees Celsius. In winter, many drivers let their engine run for hours, sometimes all day, because if it goes out, it becomes almost impossible to restart the car. In winter, daylight only lasts a few hours. No need for freezers. Residents store meat and fish in the open air, directly frozen by the climate. At 50 WC, if you wear metal glasses, they can freeze with your skin and tear off the flesh by removing them. Passing a few minutes outside can lead to frostbite, the loss of part of the body, or even death. Having a broken down vehicle on the road is very dangerous. Despite this brutal climate, more than 300,000 people live there, go out, work, and even walk outside by 44 degrees C as if it were normal. In the permafrost around Yakutsk, we regularly find woolly mammoths frozen for thousands of years, sometimes with their still intact flesh. The batteries are almost instantly unloading outside. The inhabitants keep them glued to their bodies under several layers to prevent them from dying in a few minutes. When you walk outside, the moisture of breathing freezes the eyelashes and eyebrows in a few seconds. People find themselves with a face covered with ice crystals. Oh, Tuvalu, peaceful. With only 26 kilometers, it is the fourth smallest country in the world after the Vatican, Monaco, and Nauru. The country generates the majority of its income thanks to the name of the web domain. Point TV. It brings back several $1 million a year to the country, almost its entire GDP. The international airport track is used by residents as a sports or picnic field because there are only 2 flights per week. Tuvalu is so low, 45 ma above the sea on average, that the elevation of the ocean level could make it disappear completely within 30 to 40 years. Faced with the risk of physical disappearance, Tuvalu plans to transfer entirely to the Meteors to exist virtually even if the islands flow. There are not many inhabitants in the country. The country has an open prison. The whole country is based on some unique infrastructure. Freshwater comes only from the rain collected in tanks. These extreme places bear witness to our ability to overcome the impossible challenges that nature gives us. Here we are at the end of this video. Dear subscribers, see you soon for a new video. See you later.